Next, dangerous planet, dangerous beauty. Quote, the ash fall from the last Yellowstone eruption covered all or parts of 19 western states, plus parts of Canada and Mexico, nearly the whole of the United States west of Mississippi. This, bear in mind, is the breadbasket of America, an area that produces roughly half the world's cereals. And ash, it is worth remembering, is not like a big snowfall that will melt in the spring. If you wanted to grow crops again, you would have to find some place to put all the ash. It took thousands of workers 8 months to clear 1.8 billion tons of debris from the 16 acres of the World Trade Center site in New York. Imagine what it would take to clear Kansas. And that's not even to consider the climatic consequences. The last supervolcano eruption on Earth was at Toba in northern Sumatra 74,000 years ago. No one quite knows how big it was other than that it was a whopper. Greenland ice cores show that the Toba blast was followed by at least 6 years of quote-unquote volcanic winter, and goodness knows how many poor growing seasons after that. The event, it is thought, may have carried humans right to the brink of extinction, reducing the global population to no more than maybe a few thousand individuals. That means that all modern humans arose from a very small population base, which would explain our lack of genetic diversity. End quote. This is all to say, the threats from below aren't more forgiving than the threats from above. We live in a relative time of plenty, but there is no guarantee this will always be so. And next, life itself, the rise of life. Quote, anniversaries were few and far between in the Archean world. For 2 billion years, bacterial organisms were the only forms of life. They lived, they reproduced, they swarmed, but they didn't show any particular inclination to move on to another more challenging level of existence. At some point in the first billion years of life, cyanobacteria, or blue-green algae, learned to tap into a freely available resource, the hydrogen that exists in spectacular abundance in water. They absorbed the water molecules, supped on the hydrogen, and released the oxygen as waste, and in doing so, invented photosynthesis. As Margulis and Sagan note, photosynthesis is, quote, undoubtedly the most important single metabolic innovation in the history of life on the planet, end quote. And it was invented not by plants, but bacteria, end quote. Up next, life itself, the rise of life. Quote, we couldn't live for 2 minutes without them. Yet even after 1 billion years, mitochondria behave as if they think things might not work out between us. They maintain their own DNA. They reproduce at a different time from their host cell. They look like bacteria, they divide like bacteria, and sometimes respond to antibiotics in the way bacteria do. In short, they keep their bags packed. They don't even speak the same genetic language as the cell in which they live. It is like having a stranger in your house, but one who has been there for billions of years. Next, life itself. Goodbye to all that. Quote, Earth has seen 5 major extinction episodes in its time. The Ordovician, Devonian, Permian, Triassic, and Cretaceous, in that order, and many smaller ones. The Ordovician, 440 million years ago, and Devonian, 365 million, each wiped out about 80 to 85% of species. The Triassic, 201 million years ago, and Cretaceous, 65 million years ago, each wiped out 70 to 75% of species. But the real whopper was the Permian extinction of about 245 million years ago, which raised the curtain on the long age of dinosaurs. In the Permian, At least 95% of animals known from the fossil record check out, never to return. Even about a third of insect species went, the only occasion on which they were lost en masse. It is as close to we've ever come to total obliteration. End quote. No doubt these extinction events were triggered by some cataclysmic event or a series of events. In their wake come a rapid explosion of new species in the geologic sense that carve out their niches in the eternal game of reproduction and evolution. To me, the Earth is a place of quantum evolution, more revolutionary in effect. Dramatic leaps in evolution and diversity follow catastrophes and the death of dominant species, followed by gradual micro changes to new species. Anyway, that's how I see it. Next, life itself, the stuff of life. Quote, the genome, as Eric Lander of MIT has put it, is like a parts list for the human body. It tells us what we are made of, but says nothing about how we work. What's needed now is the operating manual, instructions for how to make it go. We are not close to that point yet. So now the quest is to crack the human proteome, a concept so novel that the term proteome didn't even exist a decade ago. The proteome is a library of information that creates protein. Unfortunately, observed Scientific American in the spring of 2002, the proteome is much more complicated than the genome. Will we see such a library in the next 20 years? If I was to make a bet, I'd say yes. But I think the reasons we'll see that is because we will see advanced quantum computers in the near future in line with Moore's law. I think AI systems, quantum computers, things like that, could very well provide the medium that we need to decipher these incredibly complex patterns and to iterate some of these really intricate biological interactions. So I think it's coming. Next, the road to us, subsection ice time. Quote, as the Earth moves through space, it is subject not just to variations in the length and shape of its orbit, but also rhythmic shifts in its angle of orientation to the sun, its tilt and its pitch and wobble, all affecting the length and intensity of sunlight falling on any patch of land. In particular, it is subject to three changes in position known formally as its obliquity, precession, and eccentricity over long periods of time. Milankovitch wondered if there might be a relationship between these complex cycles and the comings and goings of ice ages. The difficulty was that the cycles were of widely different lengths, of approximately 20,000, 40,000, and 100,000 years, but varying in each case by up to a few thousand years, which meant that determining their points of intersection over long spans of time involved a nearly endless amount of devoted computation. Essentially, Milankovitch had to work out the angle and duration of incoming solar radiation at every latitude on Earth in every season for 1 million years, adjusted for three ever-changing variables. End quote. Beyond these, I wonder, are there any other influences on climate? Are there, on the larger, longer scale, are there larger patterns related to cosmic rays from our galaxy, gravitational fields from comets or swarms of comets and meteor streams, planetary alignment effects, things like that? What, if any effect do these have on long and midterm or even short-term climate changes? Next, the road to us, another one in the subsection ice time. Quote, for most of its history until fairly recent times, the general pattern for Earth was to be hot with no permanent ice anywhere. The current ice age, epic really, started about 40 million years ago and has ranged from murderously bad to not bad at all. Ice ages tend to wipe out evidence of earlier ice ages, so the further back you go, the more sketchy the picture grows. But it appears that we have had at least 17 severe glacier episodes in the last 2.5 million years or so, the period that coincides with the rise of Homo erectus in Africa, followed by modern humans. Two commonly cited culprits for the present epoch are the rise of the Himalayas and the formation of the Isthmus of Panama, the first disrupting airflows, the second ocean currents. India, once an island, has pushed 2,000 kilometers into the Asian landmass over the last 45 million years, raising not only the Himalayas, but also the vast Tibetan plateau behind them. The hypothesis is that higher landscape was not only cooler, but diverted winds in a way that made them flow north and toward North America, making it more susceptible to long-term chills. Then, beginning about 5 million years ago, Panama rose from the sea, closing the gap between North and South America, disrupting the flows of warming currents between the Pacific and Atlantic, and changing patterns of precipitation across at least half the world. One consequence was a drying out of Africa, which caused apes to climb down out of trees and go looking for a new way of living on the emerging savannas. End quote. There really are countless variables regarding climate change: tectonic changes, volcanoes, extraterrestrial impacts, Milankovitch cycles, ocean current changes, solar fluctuations, human influences, and even the moon all affect Earth's dynamic climate. Regardless of the overall contribution weight percentage for these varying influences, the climate will continue to change, sometimes slow, other times as fast as a volcano eruption or an asteroid impact. So I took many more notes, but at some point I think I just need to stop reciting. Bill Bryson's A Short History of Nearly Everything stimulated my inner curious child like my first space atlas in fourth grade. With all the notes above, I'm really only scratching the surface. Highly, highly recommended. Summary: covering major topics in science and science history with personal stories, interesting analogies, and staggering facts, Bill Bryson's A Short History of Nearly Everything is a thoroughly researched must-read for anyone with a curious bone in their body. Rating 9.5. This review was done July 22nd, 2018. And once again, thank you for listening.